Look in the dirt means when you're leaning in your go-kart and you're almost touching your head on the ground.
Do we want it to be not dusty? Yes.
Funky.
Look at his hands!
Spin them out.
It's an Ohio race here with Chris Schmader.
My bad. Good run. Show me. Steady hand.
Must get the win, must get the win.
Yeah, we're recording there. Alright, what's up, Lickers? We're back. Welcome back to the Lickin the Dirt podcast. We've made it. Episode 14. Didn't think we were going to make it this far.
We're coming up on the big 1-5.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
true story. Today, we have our first, right? Our first go-kart guest, correct?
Yes, we do.
None other than Cooper Schmader we have on the podcast today. Here he is.
Here he is. Look at
Welcome.
that. Welcome, Cooper, to the show. We're excited to have you. We have a bunch of questions for you, per usual. Before we get started, me and Chase have another. I got to stop saying it. Dude, Chase, I don't know if this has happened to you in the last couple of episodes, but I don't know if you say it. I've been saying me and Chase a lot, and I am getting absolutely picked apart for it everywhere. I mean, I'm getting ravaged by so
who?
many sources. Everybody. So I got to stop. So if I say it, I apologize. But we have a cheeseburger review edition number 2 coming out at some point. Chase is a busy man, but we did Sharon cheeseburgers.
Thursday. It'll be out Thursday.
Thursday.
At some point.
You heard it here first. When did we? Yeah, we released the podcast Wednesday, so a day after. That's good. But let's get started. Get Cooper some questions here. Cooper, we're pretty excited to have you on. I'm gonna let Chase kind of lead, this segment of the show because Cooper and I have, we've kind of been in the racing scene together a little bit the last couple of years. So I'm gonna let him start with some questions, and then we'll go from there.
All right. I'll kick off questions here. First question I got, we'll kind of just kick it off with, how'd you get into racing? How'd you get into go-karts and why, honestly?
So before Corinne met Jake, we went to the Tri-City Raceway Park and watched a little bit. I thought it was just awesome. Just going that fast, just dirt ripping everywhere. So, just kind of caught on with it. And then Corinne met Jake, found out that his dad has a race car. I thought it was awesome. And then I heard Jake had a kart. I went to go watch one night. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I just asked my dad, we should do this. And he goes, all right. So just kind of hooked onto it and just got ripping with it.
Yeah. Something to kind of go off of that. I don't remember, but was your first race was at Pittsfield, right?
Yeah.
Was that so from like the time I'm trying to think of a timeline, I guess. But I mean, your first time you got in a go-kart, I mean, were you pretty intimidated? Was it scary or did you catch on pretty quick?
It was a little intense, but knowing that my first heat race ever, just got wide open T-bone somebody, so got that out of the way.
I remember seeing that video. I was going to bring it up, but I didn't know. But yeah, that's one heck of a way, for something like that to happen on your first race ever. It was a nasty wreck too. This would be great if I had the clip of it. I could play it, but I don't have the clip.
Unprepared.
Well, okay. Yeah, I got fired from the podcast, so they're currently seeking my replacement. This is my term here won't be much longer. But so Cooper, kind of still on the topic of your first race. Going into it, were you really nervous? And was the tension high before you actually turned laps on the track? Were you scared or?
Yeah, I was a little bit. It was kind of intimidating because I was thinking of the worst. Like, whatever's gonna happen will be horrible. But after the first race, it was fine. I was good.
Yeah. Do you still kind of get like, do you get pretty nervous before a race or are you a lot better now?
Kind of depends on the day. Uh,
Yeah.
if we had like a good night of race, and then I usually don't worry about the next day. But if
Mhm.
we have a bad weekend one time and just do a lot of maintenance, I always think like, oh, something could go wrong or anything like that.
I see. I I know like it's kind of weird because ever since I've gotten into the big car, it's like I get really nervous at the start of the year for the first race, but like after that I'm okay, and I'm not that nervous anymore. But every time I would get into a go kart, every single time, it doesn't matter if it was a heat race, feature, or hot laps, I was freaking out, and I don't know why. But it has not translated over whatsoever, so I don't know. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on those ones. Go back over to Chase here, see what he's got for you.
My next question would be, obviously, I mean, I would imagine the C in 18C is for Cooper, but I was curious on why 18, if it had like some kind of special, there was something special behind it.
Not really, because my number was always 16, but my sister wanted to be 16 for like softball, so I just said, okay, well, I'll just go 18, and then
Uh oh.
Oh, now he's muted. Now he's muted and gone.
Okay, that's fine. We're okay. We're okay.
Throw up the technical difficulty sign.
well, we were. My sister was always 16, so I went with 18 just because it was close, and then I just went with C for my first name because I thought it was cool.
I had my many number
Kyle Busch.
variations. One got yeah. No, I'm not going there. But I had my variations when I started getting into the big car because I wanted to go through a number change. I ran like at one point there was like 5 by Chase, just different number ideas. But your number's a big deal. I'm gonna ask the next question. So Cooper, what is a week of preparation in a typical race day look like for you, like getting ready and stuff and all the preparation that leads to the track?
Well, after a weekend of racing, we usually, like, Monday night when my dad gets off work, we usually just go out, get all the carts out, wash everything, wipe everything down, clean out all bearings and all that good stuff, and then do some tire work, prep them through the week, wash them good, stuff like that.
So, how many years have you been racing now, Cooper?
Uh, Necessarily two, but I raced like 10 races, and then the year ended, so it's like whatever. So last year was technically my first full year.
And how many different kart tracks have you been to?
Uh, Around 5 or 6, I think.
Now
Definitely.
and which one has like stood out as your favorite one so far?
Pittsfield.
Pittsfield?
It's
How
awesome.
come?
Uh, just a wider track. It's definitely a learning track. It's a driver track, not really a setup track. So I've always liked it there. So I can actually learn how to drive a little bit.
Now, most of the kart tracks like around they're basically the same when you say like, I mean, they're basically all the same shape and size and everything, but there's like slight differences. Now, how does that kind of change how you like drive them, if that makes any sense?
Uh, I try like Pittsfield. I counter steer a little bit, but like at different tracks that are less lines and stuff, I try not to counter steer as much to run like a diamond kind of thing. So just have as much speed and try to just short track it better.
Yeah. Oh, something I wanted to touch on. Cooper recently, I know you made to the move to Clone 325. Could you talk a little bit about that transition so far?
Yeah, it's definitely a jump. It's definitely different speed, different intensity. It can be a little nerve wracking at sometimes, but other than that, we've been doing all right. I mean,
Mhm.
top threes have been pretty good, but it's definitely a little different than moving from a restricted to an unrestricted. So it's definitely awesome, though.
Well, I was talking to your dad, and he told me that you had a strong run at Lockhart's during a day race there, and then you guys have still been doing pretty well at State Line. So one thing I've kind of picked out is, you seem to be a really strong day racer, as well as with the night stuff. So, I mean, I know in go-kart racing, day racing and night racing are kind of like they're night and day differences. They're a lot different. But if you had a preference, like, do you have one, or do you like both, or?
Well, sometimes it depends on track wise. Like if the track's not blacking off and it's just so loose, it's not my favorite, but I like I think I like night races better. They just hold better. You have more grip to it. They actually hold a little bit of moisture than the sun beating down on it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, the morning heat.
Yeah, the day races are definitely their own challenge. Like I said, if I remember anything about kart racing, it was like those ones were just not fun. And especially if you go to a track that is already like a one lined racetrack, it's probably not fun at all.
Yeah.
But so we kind of just talked about tracks you've been to and stuff. I wrote a question down as you guys were talking about that. What tracks do you want to race that you haven't raced yet in the karting scene?
Uh there's definitely quite a few tracks down south that I want to run, like Paradise, but we're not there yet. But that's definitely one of the my main goals to at least get down there once and race that a little bit and race with the high competition that there is there. Just see how it goes from there.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that Pittsfield's your favorite track, and speaking of Pittsfield this year, all three of us here are actually tied for the points championship at Pittsfield this year in 2025. If you didn't know, Pittsfield has not got any racing in yet this year, and so how frustrating that has that been, considering Pittsfield is your favorite track?
Oh, that's just horrible. It just sucks because, I mean, last weekend they tried to get one in for Saturday and they ended up canceling on uh Friday, and then they were gonna run Sunday for the makeup. Then even they canceled Saturday, so it's like you can't. Their tracks flooded every time.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to start
Yeah.
running on Wednesdays or something. I don't even know what they're gonna do.
That just seems to be
Yeah.
the cure for everything, doesn't it, Chase? Is these tracks should just run on different days because it always rains on Fridays. But the weather has been absolutely horrible this year. But I will say, have some hope because the Lickin' the Dirt guys here, we blessed the month of July last week on the last episode, and it looks good so far. But we'll have to see. I think you should be pretty optimistic though. But that is still so crazy. I mean, a track like Pittsfield, and I don't know when exactly they started, but for them, like, they don't have a points race in yet. Like, that's just, it's so crazy to think, like, when we're in July, like,
Mm-hmm.
and they already, though, I will say, Pittsfield, as long as I remember it, they run into the fall a little bit, so like there's definitely
Yeah.
still time, but it's like that's probably really frustrating not being able to race your favorite track, it probably sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, stay optimistic. I think this week looks better, but I don't know. I
Hope,
could be
hope.
completely wrong. And if it ends up raining and canceling, you can blame. Don't even blame us. Blame me because I talked about it. But okay, I'm gonna transition. Okay, so we as racers, we all kind of have someone that we look up to and stuff. So I know that you know you've been racing for a little bit now, and I would imagine that you've kind of identified your own driving style and stuff. So like, if you had to think about it, who would be like someone that you try to model your driving style off of? Like any racer, like you're kind of like your idol, but for your driving style.
Ooh, that's a good question, actually. If you want to be honest, I think with my kind of driving style, I'm like, I don't know anybody that drives like me.
Mm.
I'm not like a huge, I don't really know how to explain it, but not really. I don't want to say I'm nearly as close to anybody as like a driver. Like, I don't really
Hmm.
drive. I don't have like a style. I just kind of get out there and just
Just do it.
get after it.
All instincts. I got you. No, that's completely normal. If I was asked that question, honestly, I'd probably say the same thing because, like, a lot of times when I drive, it's like, I don't know.
Jake,
It's not like I'm really focusing on driving. It's like,
Jake
but
drives
that's
like
why,
Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
that's why I hit cars that spin out in front of me and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, in general, do you have a racing idol?
Yes. Now, does that have to be like certain like car, or does it just like
No,
anybody?
I would say mine is Kyle Busch. So,
I gotta say, for like all time favorite, probably Kyle Larson. But like, if like somebody I look up to a little bit too is Scott Bloomquist. He seemed like an awesome guy. Just I've always liked his car. And he's just been my favorite, and I've always wanted to be like him. How he always just got to run with all the big guys and actually win with the big guys. So
the goat, the
the
goat.
goat.
All right, Chase, go ahead.
Something we mentioned before we started recording here is a nickname that you apparently have. I was curious to hear the backstory behind it. Apparently, they call you the Green Weenie. Now, I'd like to hear the backstory behind that.
Well, the guys when we bought the card off, they made the name. Uh, well, they had a green body. They always ran this one green body. They always repaired it. They never had a brand new body. They always had the same body I ran with. That was called the Green Weenie. They just called it because the kid that drove it was always scared to go around the corners, so they called him a weenie. And since he always ran that body, uh, they just kind of called him the Green Weenie because he has the green body and he's kind of a weenie. So
So it's kind of like an inherited nickname.
yeah, it's kind of just like just I heard about it and I'll save it. I'll just keep going with it.
I think it works. I think it's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
It's never a bad thing to have a nickname. It's always cool. I think the Green Weenie is a pretty fire nickname. My next question is I love asking this question because we've got a ton of different answers. But so far, on the track, what's been like your favorite on track memory? It doesn't have to be a win or anything, just like your favorite memory that you've had so far in your career just with racing.
At one point, that's actually a really good question. It's a it's eh, it's a good one. The one time when we threw on hard tires on Lockhart Raceway, which we were supposed to run soft, and I remember getting out there, and then every time I'd get on somebody's bumper, I'd either bounce off of it and I'll like almost turn completely sideways, or I just draft up. Like my wheel's fully cut, just trying to turn. Can't turn. Everything's just locked up. My dad's on the fence screaming at me to get moving. I'm like, can't do anything about that. We didn't have any grip. We were just all over the track. That was a funny moment.
That's good. See, when I asked that question, I don't think we've really gotten a lot of answers of like drivers kind of talking about the funny side of things. We've gotten a lot of stuff about, victories and stuff, so that's cool to hear. But go ahead, Chase.
My next question is, when are you gonna get a Rush Sprint car? It seems like all these kids coming out of go-karts in the last like 2 years, every single one's going to a Rush Sprint car. So I was just curious if next year you were getting a Rush Sprint car, or you just bought one yesterday, or I don't know.
Well, hey man, if I get a full ride from like somebody, and I get asked to jump in that thing, I will just rip it. But with how things are going right now, money wise is not very great, so we're just kind of like gonna wait a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it's cool to have one. I think it'd be awesome to be a little kid racing against like adults in a big car. But yeah,
So
Yeah.
next year probably.
wow.
I want to piggyback off of that. So we talked about that. Even if it isn't a Rush Sprint car, do you want to pursue full size car racing in the future?
Oh yeah, I think that it would be cool. It would be a good experience to just own a race car. Just seeing a race car, seeing someone like own one, is just
Mhm.
awesome. I'm just imagining that, just getting out there and just ripping like on a cushion or something. That's gotta be awesome.
Yeah.
Mini stocks are pretty cheap.
Hey man, I could always go for a four banger, and they were pretty awesome.
They're back at Tri City
Get
this
wound
weekend.
out.
They're back at Tri City. We might have to see if we can get you a ride this Friday.
Yeah,
But
man.
well, he'll be at Pittsfield. We'll see.
No, you won't.
Not
We'll
how it's
see.
going.
You got to stay optimistic. This is what's happening. This weather's terrible because we just curse it. So with the full size car, do you have a preference? If you want to pursue full size car racing, do you want to be in something like a late model, or you want to go towards sprint car racing? Maybe something completely different. Maybe you want to look into modified stuff like that. Do you really have like any desire for any of that?
My favorite car of all time is probably a UMP modified. Those things are awesome.
They
But like, if I were not able to get in one of those, I'd get in a late model. Late model is pretty cool too.
Honestly, I thought you would say sprint car.
Sprint cars, if you want to be honest, they're not my favorite. I mean, they're cool to watch, but
Yeah.
they're not really my favorite.
Hey, I'm kind of on his. I mean, I think they're awesome too, but I don't know. Like, there comes a time where it's like you kind of think that they look like wasps on the racetrack.
Wasps.
Well,
I don't know. Chase, before I ask my next one, why don't you go ahead and ask another question? I got a big boy coming up.
You just took like 3 of my questions in a row there, but I'll backtrack a little bit and go back to go-karts here. I'm not super familiar with setting up a go-kart. I mean, my cousins have ran them. Obviously, my cousin still does. But I know you can change the gears, change the tires, but is there really anything else you can really like change during a race night to kind of, set up towards how the track changes and everything?
tire pressure, just like, I mean, yeah, definitely the tires are probably the biggest thing that you have to have. Like, you gotta size them over the week and have everything spot on to have a good race car with good momentum, good speed, to have a winning cart. So
Yeah.
usually the goal to just get everything just as close as it possible to the sweet spot, and then just start getting after it.
Yeah. I don't think that can be stated enough. He mentioned sizing and stuff with go-kart tires. I was talking to your dad about it, and he's been saying how much work that you guys have been putting into your tire program this year. Now that you're, in an open division, running with a lot of older kids, and it's like it is no joke. I mean, like
Yeah.
when I ran at Lockhart's and that stuff, I tried to get into that stuff heavily, and I did it for like 2 weeks, and it was like constantly sizing my tires, checking them. What are they? Okay, oh great, I have to put my right front in a cooler with ice now for the next 30 hours.
Yeah.
It's like it is kind of a brutal process, but it's like almost mandatory. It's like if you want to
Yeah.
see successful results in that division, you have to absolutely put your nose to the grindstone on your tires and work on them, because it's crazy the night and day difference. I mean, tires are everything in that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll transition to my big boy question. I'm excited to ask this one. I like hearing about this one too. So, this is your like second full-time year racing. So, you had a really successful year last year, and you're on the right track so far this year with the switch over to clone, and you're making your leaps there. But what are your goals for the rest of the season? But not only the rest of the season, what are your goals, honestly, as you kind of go down the line with your career? Like, what are some feats you want to accomplish in kart racing?
To prove my dad that I can actually drive, and just it's just like it's just a cool experience, and I like to definitely enjoy it, and it's definitely something my family enjoys to watch, because it's always interesting to watch, and definitely it's just a blast. Just everybody come to the track, have a good time.
Yeah.
That's just my biggest part, and then just to get bigger and bigger and bigger throughout how old I get, and older I get, the pretty much more money I get in bigger cars. So
Yeah, that's good that you're enjoying it. I kind of wish when I was in a cart that I enjoyed it a little bit more. So that's good that you're focused about just having fun and going through it. But Chase, how many more questions do you have? I think I'm taking too many.
I don't really have that many more questions, like 2 or 3.
Okay, go ahead and just do those ones, and then I'll follow up with anything I need to.
This is kind of Jake's question, kind of stealing it because I don't know. Jake probably knows the answer, and that's probably why he hasn't asked it yet. Because I feel like I know the answer by now. But are you an iRacer?
just the summary. I'm too broke to have iRacing. I kind of just found a cheap steering wheel and pedals, and I just have an Xbox, so I just run World of Outlaws. That's about it. Just, I've never been on an iRacing setup before.
You never got to run. Jake's never let you turn laps on his.
I was just gonna say. Yeah, I was just gonna say we're gonna have to get you out here.
I've run a couple laps on Jake's iRacing setup before. Not very
well, Cooper, what we might have to end up doing is if I can find a way, because we've been talking about this. I don't know if you've heard about it. Okay, we're gonna do a lick in the dirt iRacing race. Okay, we're still working out the details, but we're gonna do it. And if I can find another way to, because Chase and I want to commentate it. I don't want to race in it because I think it would just be more fun to commentate and just stay out of it. But if I find another computer to do that on, I'd let you use mine and race under my credentials. But
man, I'll rep.
You'll have to come out here and try it sometime.
We'll have to do mini stocks. I bet you'll be a natural.
Oh boy,
yeah.
that's
what the race is going to be.
Oh yeah, just hear it spooled up and then you lose some control. Ended up going flying on the wall. It just stays pinned. It's good.
My fear is that if we set this up, that this is going to turn into an absolute disaster. And if we do mini stocks, and it's just going to be an enduro. But
There's probably going to be a lot of Geeby specials in that race.
Yeah, probably. You're probably not wrong.
the infamous Gooby special. Okay, Chase, go ahead with another question.
This is a question we haven't asked before, and I was actually just thought of it. I don't know why we haven't asked it yet, but kind of a backwards question. But what do you think we can do to improve the show here at Lickin' the Dirt?
Just do like what you guys were saying, like do special activities and special or give out special like achievements or something like that for like the best podcast talker or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Hey, I agree. I've been thinking about this for a little bit. If we get to 100 subscribers, I really, really want to do like some type of giveaway, like do a special episode where instead of we recording it like we are now, we do a live stream and then we have people come on, and then it would be fun to do something like that. But that's a cool question. I like that. So, but yeah, we're always trying to improve the show. We're actually very lucky to have, I like to think that we have a good group of viewers that watch us. So, I mean, we have an audience. So I think that's really cool. But, so there's two of your questions, Chase. Is your last one kind of a wrap up one, or is it just
the last one's just wrapping it up?
Before I'll let you do that, but before we get to that question, I have one more kind of, staying on the topic that I've kind of brought the whole show, kind of the race day type topics. How do you mentally and physically prepare, for a day of racing?
Depends how everybody's mood is. Like, if anybody's like in a bad mood and just for like tell me to get out there and just do my best to win it, then I'll just think like, okay, I'll get out there and just do the best I can and do whatever I need to do to win that race. But then there's the other side of it, like, say, just if somebody's just being a jerk on the track and just trying to spin you out to go to the front, then just let them go and just turn laps and adjust stuff, whoever needs to be adjusted to win that race. So that's pretty much just what happens.
Yeah.
And then I physically just kind of just like say to myself, just get in the car, and I just get in it and just
drive
do my thing.
That's all you gotta do. Just gotta drive it.
Yeah.
Do you listen to any music to get yourself hyped up?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
What you be jamming?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's a lot that goes on with the jam.
Sexy Red. Lots of Sexy Red.
Yeah, sure thing. Sounds awesome. But I think a little bit of Lipin Park, I think. That's usually like the kind of thing. That's just usually the jam that just sorts everything out. Like it's just like boom.
Good band. See, at the 07 trailer, we listened strictly to Sabrina Carpenter. So I don't necessarily, Chase has been there. He understands. We run a very tight operation over there, but we typically stick to the, the Sabrinas of the world. But that was my, we asked Logan that question. He said Metallica, and you say Linkin Park. So, I mean, it's that metal, it's bringing that A game, But Chase, go ahead and wrap her up with your last question.
All right. The last question I got is kind of just what we like to do to wrap everything up, and that's just who do you want to thank, parents, sponsors, everything. Who do you want to thank?
A huge one is probably my dad. He's the only reason why I do this kind of stuff and how I'm me and all my activities I really do. He's just usually the one that's on top of things and does the best he can for me. And same thing with my mom. Whatever needs done, she'll try to get done the best she can. And all sponsors.
Uh-oh.
It's Karen.
Oh no. Does she want to make it? The infamous Karen.
I just got home
Karen.
from puppy training.
We're alive.
Oh,
You're okay. Go ahead, Cooper. If there's anything, you can continue.
Yeah, mainly the sponsors. I can't name them yet because we don't have stickers printed out yet, but we'll get there sooner or later.
Yeah.
But I'll maybe sometime get it figured out. But all I know is that like just everybody that likes to support and give whatever like motivation, anything like that.
Gotcha. The Whitlings are infamously terrible with sponsors as well. I don't know. I think I've done okay in the one time I've had to like do it publicly, but like Dad is convinced that like every time he goes through that, he asks as soon as he's done, did I forget anybody? So it's like we're
Yeah.
not. But hey, it's been awesome having you on. First go-kart driver. We're definitely gonna, try to get some more go-kart drivers and stuff on here.
Maybe.
It was definitely good talking to you. Yeah, we gotta get Austin Wheeler on here at some point. Gooby special. But yeah, it's been awesome having you on the show. This has been episode 14 with 13-year-old Cooper Schmader. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and thank you for watching.
Look in the dirt means when you're leaning in your go-kart and you're almost touching your head on the ground.